Welcome again to the Peak Performance Protocol series. Fats. What are the good fats? What are the bad fats? What should we be using when we cook? So let's look at first, saturated fats. Yes, saturated fats. You probably heard of this one before. Now, there's a reason why it's called saturated fats, but we don't have time to get into that. But let's look at something. The recommended daily intake for adults is 20 to 35% of your total calories needs to come from fats. Fats is a good thing. It coats your organs, does well for your cells, but it's the saturated fats that put a lot of people in a condition of sickness and disease. So let's look at the high end, 35%. And let's break that down into grams. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at 2,000 daily caloric intake, okay? So you don't go past 2,000 calories a day. If you're looking at 2,000 calories, and we're going to go ahead and multiply that by 35%, which means we're going to take 2,000 times 0.35. What is that going to give you? It's going to give you 700 calories. So I'm just going to put CAL for calories. So you have 700 calories right there. Now, out of the 2,000 caloric intake, 700 will be coming from fats. But let's see, how do I convert that into grams? You're going to take 700 divided by 9, and you're going to come up with this number, 77.77 and so forth. Well, we're going to go ahead and round that up to 78 grams. 78 grams. So now you have an indication where you don't have to necessarily look at calories, because a lot of people look at the grams. Might be a little easier for some people. So let's look at the recommended daily intake of saturated fats. So we have 10% is the recommended daily intake for adults concerning saturated fats. But according to the American Heart Association, which I believe they know a little something about fats, you're going to look at the American Heart Association says between 5 to 6% of the total calories from fat should be saturated fats. Now, let's look at the higher end. Let's get our calculators out, because I want you to be able to do this yourself. Now, out of that total of the saturated fats was of 700 calories. That was the total. And of course, 78 grams. Let's see what it is in saturated fats. And I'm going to put the saturated fats in red. All right, so we have our red marker. That's going to be saturated fats. So look at these numbers right here. We're going to use the high end of their recommendation of saturated fats at 6%, which means you're going to go 2,000, you're going to multiply that by 0.06, and you come up with 120 calories. Now, again, how do we convert that over to grams? You're going to take that number divided by 9, and you have 13 grams. 13 grams of saturated fat a day. Now we're about to find out why so many people are sick and diseased. However, the reason why we actually got the 13 grams, we divided by 9. So every gram of fat, it equals 9 calories. However, every gram of carb or carbohydrate, it equals 4 calories. And every gram of protein equals 4 calories as well. So we're going to look at the higher number. Every gram of fat equals 9 calories, and whatever you get as far as the calories, you're going to divide it by 9, and that's going to give you the number in grams. Now, listen to this. Remember these numbers right here. According to the USDA, a medium-sized steak has a total fat content of 48 grams of fat. Out of that 48 grams of fat, 21 grams is saturated fats. That's 21 grams. Right there, you're way past the recommended daily intake. No wonder so many people are suffering from so much sickness and disease, because the saturated fats is clogging up the arteries, causing arteriosclerosis, which is the plaque and hardening of the arteries, and is causing too much fat being impregnated around the cells, which is blocking the cell receptor sites. So this is why so many issues are happening. 21 grams is way past those 13 grams recommended by the American Heart Association. So you might be wondering, where am I going to get the right amount of fats? Well, first of all, let's look at the sources where you're getting an overabundance amount of saturated fat. If you are on a high meat diet, right there is going to give you large amounts of saturated fat. Not to mention, remember that steak from USDA says 48 grams of fat from that one medium-sized steak, and on top of that, 21 grams came from saturated fat. That is not going to be the only thing that you eat during the day. And what comes with that? Fries, potatoes, whatever comes with that, that's just the dinner, not to mention the breakfast, the lunch, and who knows if you're snacking in between. So what we want to do is we want to reduce the amount of meat. If you're doing it 5 times a week, just reduce it to 3 times a week. If you're doing it 3 times a week, reduce it to 1 time a week. And then you're going to notice a drastic change, especially with your constipation. If you are cooking and you're using canola oil, you may want to stop that right away. If you're using Crisco, that's something that you want to also remove, and we're going to give you some substitutes that you are going to be using, okay? Now, let's talk about the different types of fats. So we want to get rid of the large amounts of meats. You want to reduce the canola oil, and definitely that shortening or the Crisco, you want to reduce that as well, right? But here's what I want you to do. You have saturated, but you also have unsaturated fat. Unsaturated fat comes in 2 forms. You have monounsaturated and you have polyunsaturated. Mono and polyunsaturated fats. Now let's talk about the difference between the mono and polyunsaturated, okay? The monounsaturated fats, you're going to have peanut oil, you're going to have sunflower oil, you're going to have olive oil, avocado oil. So as far as cooking, since you're getting rid of the canola oil, you're getting rid of the Crisco oil, you definitely want to use avocado oil because it's going to work better for the heat. So olive oil is also good. You can sprinkle it over your salad. But as a diabetic, you definitely want to make sure you're very scarce in using any type of oil because you already suffer from heart disease or clogging of the arteries, especially if you have neuropathy. You don't have the right signals coming from the brain, the central nervous system, all the way down to your feet because there's clogging within those arteries. So please be aware that whatever type of oil it is, and we didn't cover poly just yet, but whatever type of oil it is, you want to reduce it until you either reverse your condition or you put yourself in a position where you can regulate your blood sugars naturally. Polyunsaturated is any type of seed oil, okay? You have black seed oil, you have hemp seed oil, you have chia seed oil. So it's any type of oil that's actually going to be extracted from seed. So I can put monounsaturated oil and I can keep it on the counter overnight and it's still going to be liquid. But polyunsaturated, I can keep it on the counter, it's still going to be liquid, but I can also put it in the refrigerator and it's still going to be liquid. Monounsaturated is liquid at room temperature, but once you put it in the refrigerator, it does chill and become hard. However, saturated fats, same thing that's happening to your arteries, it becomes oxidized when the fatty acids attach to those inner walls of the arteries. Once it becomes oxidized, it completely starts to hard, and there goes plaque. So saturated fats, it actually gets hard even at room temperature. So those are the fats that you want to get rid of. So what we're doing is getting a better knowledge of how we can put the right foods in our system that's going to allow us this road to recovery. And it's going to be a natural road to recovery. You're going to love it. And don't forget, you have a one-day detox right in the description. Click on it so you can get an idea of exactly how can you start eating healthier. And you might find a little something extra when you go to click on that link and go to the one-day detox. See what else is available for you to help you out on your road to recovery. So if you like this information and you want more on a weekly basis, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.